Are your D&D spell choices starting to feel just a little bit predictable? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to pull out a truly unique and game-changing spell that no one has ever seen before? Well, have I got news for you, because today we're jumping into 5 brand new homebrew spells that will add a whole new level of excitement to your D&D game. Let's start off with the coveted 3rd level spell slot with a spell I call Frigid Flurry. You call forth a winter storm centered on you with a radius of 30 feet that lasts up to a minute. Once when you cast this spell and on your subsequent turns thereafter as a bonus action, you can send a flurry of frost towards a creature you can see within the storm. Make a ranged spell attack against a creature, and on a hit you deal 2d8 cold damage and reduce their movement speed by 10 feet. I like to think of this spell like an icy version of Melv's Minute Meteors. The main difference being that it doesn't explode, and rather than using a dex save, it's an attack roll. The damage of Frigid Flurry is actually comparable to that of the 2nd level spell Heat Metal. However, you obviously don't need metal on the target for Frigid Flurry, and it does have the added bonus of the move speed reduction. As far as the damage is concerned, it's decent. So the real value from Frigid Flurry comes from the ability to weaponize your bonus action. In D&D 5th edition, particularly at the lower levels, there's not very many options to utilize your bonus action. So being able to utilize it to deal extra damage is always super valuable. However, with all that being considered, it is a concentration spell, so make sure you make good use of that movement speed reduction so the enemies don't get too close to risk you losing the spell. But now let's move on to the opposite side of the spell book with the highest level spell for today, the 8th level Event Horizon. You create a 120-foot wall of magical darkness at a point you can see within 120 feet that is perpendicular to your current location as to block line of sight. Any creatures beyond the horizon become beset with untold horrors just beyond that horizon. Creatures must make an intelligence saving throw, and on a failed save take 8d10 psychic damage and become stunned until the end of their next turn, or half as much damage on a successful save with no stun effect. For an 8th level spell, the damage is decent, but the real reason you take this spell is because it has the potential to affect so many creatures and has a decent chance of stunning the most of them. In case you didn't already know, intelligence saving throws are statistically the worst save amongst all creatures in D&D 5th edition, which makes this spell pretty darn valuable since it utilizes that same save. One might even think this spell might be considered overpowered, and that might be a fair assessment. However, by the time you get access to this 8th level spell slot, you're already level 15. And by then, a large amount of creatures aren't likely to pose a big threat to you and your party, just simply due to the sheer amount of magic you and your party should have by then. But considering the amount of creatures this could possibly affect, this spell is definitely a consideration for your limited 8th level spell slots. Moving on now, let's work our way back down the spell book with the 5th level aspect of the Phantom. You phase your form with the ethereal plane and become heavily obscured from all creatures' vision for up to a minute. While maintaining concentration on the spell, you retain your obscurement, and you can use your bonus action to vanish and reappear at a location you can see within 30 feet. This spell is a super powerful defensive boon. Not only does it provide you a lot of mobility with your bonus action teleport, but it also gives all attacks against you disadvantage and you are obscured from vision. Really, thinking about the spell now, it's effectively a combination of Misty Step and Blur put together into one spell. It is much more costly being a 5th level spell slot, but I mean that makes sense because you have an entire minute for your bonus action teleports alongside the defensive bonus you get from your obscurement, all from a single spell slot. It is, however, a concentration spell, which means it can be dangerous if you're ever targeted by an attack or forced to make a saving throw for damage. But since you have the ability to teleport, it shouldn't be too difficult to position yourself safely to get the most out of this spell. But before we move on to spell number 4, I wanted to let you all know that all of these spells and more are part of a module I'm writing called Crit's Compendium. It has over 100 spells, 6 new subclasses, alongside a bunch of feats, magic items, and creatures, all for 5th edition that you can use at your table today. All of the spells will be released through videos like this, but if you're impatient or want to see any other homebrew that I've created, you can become a member or patron down below to get access now. But don't worry if you can't, because like I said, all of the content will be released slowly over time. And with that shameless plug out of the way, let's jump into the 4th spell for today for the players that like to create a little bit of extra chaos, with the 4th level Devious Tinkering. You tinker with an object you can touch and adjust its magical properties, invoking a certain property of the object, either volatility, containment, or luminosity. The next creature to interact with it ignites that property within the object. Volatility causes the magical properties in the object to become unstable, and the next creature to interact with it causes it to explode, dealing 68 damage or half as much on a successful save. Confinement imbues the object with the energy of a demiplane, and the next person to interact with it must make a charisma saving throw or become imprisoned in a harmless demiplane for up to 8 hours, and then reappear in a location 5 feet from the current object's location. Regardless of the charisma save, the creature immediately knows that there was an attempt to imprison them, so keep that one in mind if you ever do try to pull it out. And luminosity overflows the object with radiant energy, and the next creature to interact with it causes it to emit a high-pitched screech and shine bright light, blinding and deafening all creatures within 60 feet for up to a minute. This spell is incredibly unique and is meant to really cause chaos in certain situations when needed. Since this is only an action to cast and only requires somatic components, you can pop this on an object and just get out of there with no one knowing the wiser. But it is risky because it does not make any specification about the target creature. However, you can upcast this spell and specify a creature that you want to trigger this effect, but it is a higher spell level to utilize, but it does come with the added bonus of not accidentally affecting the wrong creature, so, you know, give and take. The use cases for this spell are obviously a little bit limiting, but if the opportunity does arise to ever pull it out, you will be dang happy that you decided to add it to your spellbook. But now, we round out today's video with the final spell for today, the 2nd level Focused Barrage. You conjure a mote of arcane energy and thrust it at a space you can see within 60 feet. Each creature within 10 feet of that mote must make an intelligence saving throw, taking 3d6 psychic damage or half as much on a successful save. However, when you cast this spell, you can send it towards a targeted area, or you can maintain concentration on the spell, empowering it, creating an empowered barrage. After you've concentrated on it for an entire round, you can use your next action to release the empowered mote, which now has a 20-foot radius with the same intelligence saving throw, but instead it deals 7d6 psychic damage. This is one of the most unique and experimental spells I have made to date. The concept of concentrating longer on a spell to make it more powerful and increase its effectiveness is something I have messed around with and wanted to try for a while now, and this is the first iteration of the idea. It can be super powerful, but it is obviously also super risky, because if you decide to maintain concentration on it, you might not only waste a spell slot, but you might have wasted an entire action to risk the Empowered Barrage effect. But if you can get that Empowered Barrage off, it is an amazing way to deal some extra damage with a damage type that is very rarely resisted. So if you're a player that enjoys taking some risks, take a look at Focused Barrage, because it is definitely the highest risk, highest reward spell on today's list. If you want to check out more homebrew spells, you can check out the playlist in one of the corners or the description box below. And if you liked the video, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed, and let me know what you thought. I post weekly videos like this every Monday, but in the meantime, I've posted a playlist down below for you to check out if you want to check out more videos. But as always, thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on Friday.